Do you want a 4.0 this semester? Yeah, that's what I thought. It doesn't matter if you haven't been to school in a while, if you're just trying to beat this one class, or if you're going to school for the first time. I'm going to give you the same tips that I used to get a 4.0 this semester myself. And that was after a year not even going to school. So, sit tight, get comfortable, and let's get into it. First things first, you need to figure out, how do you study? What's your study style? You can try all the study habits in the world, but if it's not the best way for you to learn information, you might actually be working harder and not smarter. And our goal is to get more with doing less when we're studying. There's a visual learner, kinesthetic learner, auditory learner. You can watch videos, you can just write notes, repetition. What is the best way for you to learn? For example, I am a very big visual person. If I see it, I know it. And then I have friends in class that were like, I remember she said this in class and that's why I chose this on the exam. And then I'm just like, when did she say that in class? Because I'm not a good auditory learner. I don't like watching long videos. I can take notes because if I see it, that helps me. But if they said something and there was nothing that they pointed to on the screen, I'm not going to remember that. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, because it's not like you're a bad listener. It's not that you're a bad reader. You just have to find what style works for you. So once you figure that out, that'll help you with the next few steps, because then you know which way to go for it. All right, next, when you're in class, what type of notes are you taking? You need to take notes that aren't lengthy and they're in your own words. Because it doesn't matter if you look at the book and then you write down the big, chunky, difficult words that they write down. No, you need to look at the sentence and you need to be like, how does this work in your brain? For example, if I'm reading something and it's super long, the definition is just crazy, I'm just going to try to shorten it down with words I'm like, yeah, I can remember this. Shorten your notes. Make it simple. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Put it in your own language so that you know it. You just need to make them short, sweet, and to the point. Put bullet points, write keywords, underline the keywords. That helps me, because then if you see this one word, it relates back to a certain topic. If you see another word, it relates back to a certain topic. But you can keep them separate instead of them getting mixed up. So remember your keywords and what word are they associated with. Like my notes, they're very cutesy, very much demure. I try to add pictures from the slides that they use, because what's better than learning the content that they actually show you? Drawing pictures also help. This is when I was learning the muscles in the hand, because you just remember where you drew things, and it's very helpful. So I added pictures from his slides. I labeled them in more ways than one. How are you taking notes? Make them short, sweet, and to the point. Add pictures. Use the keywords that the professor used. Use keywords that the book used, because if all else fails, that book should be what the professor is teaching based off of. Or if you heard the professor say it and they keep on saying it, write it down. If you heard them say it like 3 times, write it down. If they really go deep into the subject, write it down. Write down the keywords. Ask questions to clear it up later. But just remember, like, you need to focus on this, or you might need to touch up on this subject again. Understand that. Before you even get in class, you need to review the content that they're telling you to read. I know, who wants to read ahead of time when you can just learn it in class? Sometimes you don't even end up learning things in class. I had a 4-hour lecture and I promise you that everything was not covered within those 4 hours. It was crazy. So just make sure that you read ahead of time, so just in case you do have questions, you can ask, like, hey, last night in my reading I saw this. And then you already have an understanding, so then when your teacher explains it, it just adds on to what you're already doing. Next, after you write down the notes of what the teacher said based on what you already had, after class, you need to review your notes. That is so important, because instead of you cramming last minute, you're just building on knowledge. And I wish that's something I could have did better myself, was after class sitting down and reviewing my notes, instead of just like writing my notes, never looking at them until like it's exam week. And then after each class, you go to class, you reread all those notes again. Now you just know even more. So it's like a smart way to avoid cramming at the end. Okay, and another helpful way to like get that 4.0, I would say, is talk to your peers. You need to talk to your peers, because you could learn one way and your peer could learn another way, or you might remember something really well and your peer remembers another topic that you're weak on very well. So once y'all talk about it, not only are you saying what you know, that's how you know something, when you can teach it to somebody else, first of all, but then you're teaching it to somebody else, and then they're teaching you something. So now y'all are gonna have this exchange of information, and you're gonna remember it, because I guarantee you they're gonna have a funny way of remembering things. For example, me and my group, we were studying and we made everything funny because we were in gross anatomy at a doctoral level. It was a hard class, but we made it. I'm studying to be an OT, so we were looking really into the hand, like really deep into the hand. And there was this thing, it's like, this is the hand. It could either be like the hand of benediction, where some people, they can't make a fist because this isn't working. Or this could be when the tendons are just so tight here that it brings these fingers down. And it's called the Poitras contracture. So we made it funny, and we were like, you know that Kevin Hart meme? I'm gonna insert it. We were like, the Poitras. But then the hand of benediction is just all chill. But it's like, without that, without studying with them, I wouldn't have sat there and been like, you know, it's just that exchange, because now I remember it, and I remember it in a funny way, and I remembered it with my group. So we walked away having better memory, conversing, and just doing really well on our test. But I say all this to say that without talking to your peers, you're not gonna like have those different ways to learn the same thing. Like, yeah, I might have known that the Poitras was like a contracture of the hand, but that's how I remember it. Very boring. But then me and my group, the Poitras, I don't know, it was just a difference, and it helped me remember it. It's one thing to actually move. It was very kinesthetic too. It was a different way of learning, because we had a kinesthetic learner at the table. We had a visual learner, which is me, and then we had an auditory learner. So we had to find ways to make it like stimulating and engaging for all of us. So once you're able to teach it to somebody else, and then you're able to learn it from your peer, how they learn it, it's kind of locked in. So not only did you read it, not only did you write it, you teached it, and you learned it a different way. And I feel like the information is just stuck in your head. And then another way that really helped me on my test, like if I feel like I reviewed all I could and I learned everything the best I could, I start to read things in different ways. I'll study my notes, I'll study the slides, and then I'll look at a Quizlet, because Quizlets are like, it's a different form of reading. And I call it like the rule of 3. You read it, you write it, you might have even heard it, but either way, as long as you learn that same type of information 3 times, I feel like it's gonna be stuck in your head after that. So if you found 3 different ways to learn the same thing, whether it's reading, writing, listening, rereading the slides, talking to your friend, asking the professor questions, you're gonna learn it. It's gonna be stuck in your head because you done seen it before, you done heard it, and you just made all of these different connections. So I would say, like, right before the test, find different ways to read the same information, whether that means going to a study group, a Kahoot, anything. Learn it see it 3 different times in 3 different ways. Test yourself on it on the Quizlet. Try to guess it. Which brings me into my next point. Do active recall. Active recall, like, it's one thing to read and be like, yeah, this looks familiar, but then quiz yourself. This is gonna help you. Quiz yourself, because you're gonna be like, oh, like, what's the Poitras? And of course you're gonna do your little dance, the Poitras. You're gonna think of Kevin Hart. But no, that's not good enough. Like, you know what it is, but what's going on that you can't see? Those tendons are very tight, and it's causing the fingers to be stuck in a flexed position. So I need you to know, like, you need to know. You know, you can't just be like, oh, this is what it is. What is this? Quiz yourself, ask yourself, and keep on guessing until you get it right. You get it wrong, go back to it later until you get it right. Because then once you get it wrong, you're gonna be like, I don't know about you, but I hate getting things wrong. So when I get it wrong, it's basically stuck in my head forever, because I don't want to get it wrong again. So quiz yourself, work on your active recall, because when you see it on the test, it's not going to come with the notes. It's just going to come with all these answers that might be very different or sound the exact same, and you just need to choose the best answer. So be sure that when you see those keywords, you know what exactly goes with it, so that you can eliminate any word that doesn't go with it or any sentence that doesn't go with it. And then next, very similar to active recalling yourself, do active recall with your peers. Quiz each other. Go through questions that you find important, and then they'll go through questions that they find important, and then y'all will keep on conversing on it, keep on building on that knowledge, and y'all might even come up with something to keep, like, you might even come up with something to remember it even more efficiently. So I would say a good mixture of all those things helped me get my 4.0, and I believe that it'll help you get your 4.0 too. We're ready to have our best semester yet, and those are the tips that helped me get my 4.0 first try first semester in a really hard program. So know your study style, know your professor, read your notes, simplify your notes. Study with your peers, try to learn your information in 3 different ways. Do your active recall and active recall with your friends. This is really gonna help you because not only do you know it yourself, but you know when someone else is feeding you like different type of information. So when it comes to the test, you're well prepared. You don't have to cram. You can just go in there and you can be confident that you're ready to show what you've learned. All right, that's all I can give you, and that's how you get that 4.0. If you would like to see more of my school experiences, just tap on my page and go to my vlogs tab, and you'll see what exactly I do every day and just how much I study. But if you would like more advice videos like this, just be sure to hit that thumbs up and comment down below, and stay tuned until next week. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a good day, and until next time, toodles.